Thank you, Devin. Beautiful to open that healing prayer even deeper. Light the way. So as the sun went down tonight, friends, we are coming out of the 8-day celebration of Hanukkah. As all things in this COVID year, it has been a different kind of Hanukkah, a very different kind of Hanukkah. At home, not the kind of large family gatherings or parties with friends and community as in other years, smaller gatherings, and still the light. I have found such potency, such beauty, such sweetness in these last 8 days. It's hard to release them, hard to let them go. It's good that we have Shabbos light to make a gentle transition out of Hanukkah with some tenderness. Such potency in this idea of Hanukkah and in the light that we have been lighting and increasing each night, more and more light. And in the fight of Hanukkah, in the light and the fight of Hanukkah. There are two main parts to the story of Hanukkah, and they are held at once, the tale of the battle of the Maccabees and the miracle of the light and the fight, the battle and the miracle of Hanukkah. My childhood emphasized the battle. Outnumbered guerrilla warriors taking on an empire and winning. The battle, the Maccabees. Other childhoods I have heard elevated the miracle of the light, less about the battle. And in fact, that's what the rabbis of late antiquity did. They had some discomfort with the battle, partly because the Maccabee revolt led to the Hasmonean dynasty, which was not the best dynasty for our tradition, and because the rabbis were living under Roman occupation, and the idea of revolt, which there had been against the Romans, was very costly in lives. The temple had been destroyed and many lives lost. And so the rabbis were uneasy with focusing on the battle, so they added in, they elevated, they accentuated, they brought in the light and the miracle of the oil lasting for 8 nights. The light and the battle, the light and the battle. I think there is great spiritual wisdom in each, in holding each fully and allowing each to open into our lives, and to hold both. And that feels so alive to be in these 8 days of Hanukkah, right where we are right now, in this light and fight, in the promise of a vaccine, in the light and the miracle of all of these scientists who have worked so hard, and many more still working on other iterations of vaccines, and the miracle of them coming together for the vaccine, and in the surge, and how much we are needing to remain vigilant and to care for each other by staying away, by wearing masks, by supporting essential workers. If you have anybody in your life who is a nurse and the doctor, I can just ask you to please support them. Please support them with texts of encouragement, maybe things dropped off at their doorstep. Please, let's help the essential workers, and not just in hospitals, but there are essential workers everywhere right now, in our grocery stores, in our farm workers. I mean, it's incredible the fight that's going on in this time, the light and the fight. And to be right now inside of both, to be in the same week here in Los Angeles County, reaching the point where there are no ICU beds left. And the same week that people began getting inoculations with the vaccine. I mean, it's a time of total spiritual, open stretching of ourselves in every way, to continue to be where we are in the light and the fight of these times, in the light and the fight of these times, in the miracle and the battle of these days. It is true this year with COVID, and it is true with ourselves, inside of ourselves, to be with our light and to be with our struggle, and to do so with those we love, to be with them as who they are and their fullness and the light of who they are, and to be in the fixing, changing of relationships. There are times when we need to be in the struggle, when we have to stand up and say to someone we love, I am here. I am not leaving you. I am right in this with you. We will get through this. Or other times when the struggle says, no, you cannot do this anymore to yourself. I will not allow it. Or times when we stand up and say, we must have justice. Times to stand up and fight. Or times when we say to ourselves, I will not do this anymore. Not another cigarette, not another drink, not another hit, not another hookup. And it is active. The struggle is active. The battle is real. Where are those places of struggle right now? Struggle in the service of the good. Hanukkah talks about struggle in the service of the good, the battle. And there are other times when we need to surrender to what is, when we need to be with the light and to see it and to experience, even when it's a small glimmer, light, miracles, each day another candle and more light, and we are amazed. These children keep growing, and we are amazed by the miracle of who they are. These adults, we keep growing, and we are amazed by the miracle of who we are. Surrender, awe in the miracle of being alive, of the world as it is, as those we love being just who they are. We draw in the light. We draw in the light. Our tradition asks us to fight, to change, to take risks, to battle, to make better. We stepped out into the waters so that the sea would part as we left the narrow place, to leave slavery, to go towards freedom. There were times for the struggle. The spies scouted the land. 2 of the 12 returned saying, we can do this. We have this. And our tradition also asks us to just be with what is. To each week enter into Shabbat, holy Shabbat, where we refrain from doing, where we are with the world as it is, where we are with ourselves as we are, where we are with the loved ones as they are. We don't engage in news or emails, or bickering. We are with ourselves as we are, with our whole selves. We surrender into the light. There are times for battle and there are times for light. And we need both, the miracle and the battle, the surrender and the change. And we spend time cultivating both. Hanukkah invites us to look into our lives and to see, where right now do I need to surrender to the light, to be in the light, in the miracle of being alive? And where do I need to fight and change and make better and fix? Where am I with each? Do I do one of those more easily, more habitually? And if so, can I, in honor of these days, bring in the other? Can I cultivate both? Find times in the week. Our tradition gives it to us in a container. 6 days to change and fix and do, and 1 day to feel that light. And that 1 day to feel the light is so, to immerse in it, is so that it spills also into the whole rest of the week. light and battle, miracle and battle. It's important to hold one and the other, to feel into each in their own separate universes, alive with texture and color and image. And there is the balance together and the holding them both at once together. Our tradition asks us to do that as well. Hold each, hold them together. And the holding them together is my experience of faith. The holding them together is my experience of emunah, of the midah of emunah. We are once and always in the light and in the battle. Together they hold what is and what is possible. Faith is what is and what is possible. We are always being with what is, and we are always holding what is possible in our tradition. An active, alive faith. We are held by the divine in our wholeness, and we are actively working to mend and fix the broken places, to make new, to move, to grow, knowing what's possible, faith in what is possible, faith in the wholeness of right here and right now. In the Hanukkah blessing, we insert into our daily prayers during the 8 days of Hanukkah. It comes in modim, and a prayer of thanksgiving, of gratitude. We insert it, al hanisim. We are grateful for the miracles. Ve'al ha-milchamot, and for the battles. She'asita, that you did by yamim hahem bazman hazeh, in those days and also right now in these days. We hold both the miracle and the battle right now in these days, this day, this time. The dance of parenting is always holding both. I see you. I see the wholeness of who you are, and I hold the possibility of your growth and your change and your becoming. And our friendships and our long, loving relationships hold both. I see you and your wholeness for who you are right now. And I also am with you in the struggle and the change and the growth. Holding both at once together, an experience of faith. I felt that most intensely in my life when I went through cancer treatment and recovery. I know that I allude to it from time to time, but it has become clear that I know that some who are new to Nefesh don't know that this is part of my story and also part of our story as a community, wasn't it? Somebody said to me the other day, this was part of our story as a community. So I will share with you now. I don't share always because as there is now 3 years distance, I am good with the space. I am good with the space. And I also know that as I look back, and I did this week at a sermon from a time when I had no hair, it also brought back that time of the daily faith in the being with what is and fighting for what was possible. So 3 years ago, I had a cancerous growth, a rare but very treatable, thank God, cancer on my eustachian tube. In fact, they called it nasopharyngeal carcinoma. And what's funny is that nobody seemed to know about the nasopharynx until everybody now has to get those long Q-tips down your nose. And somebody said to me, so did you know there is an area of the body called the nasopharynx? I said, yes, quite acutely. I am aware of the nasopharynx. And when people have been complaining, oh my God, it was a Q-tip down my nose. I'm like, really? Well, try a camera down your nose every 4 months or every week for a while. Anyway, that's the nasopharynx. And then way at the back of it, toward the temporal lobe, right on my eustachian tube, for some reason, a mystery that keeps unfolding as I try and put the pieces together, a cancerous growth grew there. And it turns out that for head and neck cancers, radiation is very effective. And so I, being with what is and holding what was possible, submitted and surrendered into this treatment. surrendered into the intensity of this treatment. And what it involved, part of what it involved was for 7 weeks being inside a machine, a radiation machine that would give potent light to this area of my body, and to hold a mouth guard so that my mouth would be in a certain position, and then hold that mouth guard and be covered in a tight mask and holder that went below my collarbone and all over my face. And then that was screwed into the machine as I laid there and surrendered fully into what was, into the reality of what was happening, and to holding what was possible. That was the daily journey, to be with what is and to hold what was possible, and to hold that in prayer and in song and in blessing, and to hold it daily as my practice of faith deepened beyond my ability to describe. To be with what is and to hold what was possible. I was a part of a cancer support group at the time, and a fellow member of the group, Steve, he shared that what he wanted most was to surrender. And not a lying down surrender, he said, but an intentional surrender. He had been a part of the sobriety community for many years, and he knew about surrender, and here he was dealing with a cancer that kept reoccurring, and he wanted to actively surrender with grace, as he had learned to do with his addiction. A letting go and a holding on, an active surrender. And I remember seeing once an image of a woman taking a white flag of surrender and moving it across as an active surrender. And I thought of that image, and I thought about how that's it. That is the faith. That is the light and the fight at once. A standing up surrender. A standing up surrender. A submitting into it. A submitting into the machine and holding the prayer for what is possible and the possibility of healing and strength. When I got my first clear scans after treatment, I got an email from my aunt in New Zealand. She was so filled with joy in the news, and she wrote to me and she said, "What a miracle this is." And then she said, "To see the growth there and not there is quite amazing." And she said, "It was a miracle, a hard-working miracle." Indeed, the treatment was grueling, and all the hard work it was for me, it was also so much hard work over so many years for all the other people who had been in that machine, whose lives and bodies and feedback helped the doctors and the scientists to improve it. And all the scientists and the doctors who had been thinking for so many years about how to make this possible for anybody who laid down here, a hardworking miracle. And my offering to help any of those think about how to make it better, because I know that this treatment, this crazy treatment, will be better in the years to come. A hard-working miracle. Surrender standing up. Hard-working miracles. That's the light and the fight together at once, the battle and the miracle. So in these days, in these intense and so deeply challenging days, let us all hold the light and the battle, the miracle and the battle at once. And may we hold them together in an active faith. Surrender standing up, hardworking miracles. May you be amazed by the light that surrounds you, by daily miracles. And may you fight for what is important and good and right. May you find hardworking miracles everywhere around you. May you be part of making hardworking miracles. And may you find moments to surrender standing up. Shabbat Shalom.
There's a light, there's a light in the dark. trust, not to fear. For our comfort is near. There's a light, there's a light in the darkness. It will rain, it will rain in the desert. In the cracks of the plain, there's a treasure. Like the thirst of the sea, we'll await, we believe it will rain, it will rain in the desert. There's a light, there's a light in the darkness. Light the way. Light the way. Light the
Thank you all for being here tonight and being together and bringing light. Right now, I'm feeling light in all of you.